Hi everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another lesson in our ongoing French course. In our last lesson, we learned the basics of the verb porter. In this lesson, we're going to take it to another level. So let's go ahead and do that. Here it goes. So the first very important thing to know about the verb porter is that it can have multiple meanings. So in our last lesson, we focused primarily on the meaning to wear. It can mean to wear as in wear clothes. It can also mean to carry, which was mentioned in our last lesson, but we didn't practice with that. We are going to practice using the verb porter to mean carry in this lesson. But you should also know that it can mean to take or to bring, as in to take something to someone or to bring something to someone. And it can also mean to support, as in the walls support the roof of a house. And there are some other meanings besides these. So just be open to the fact that the verb porter can have multiple meanings, and the meaning you get just depends on the context in which you use the verb, the vocabulary that goes with it. Okay, so now we know what the word means. Next, let's take a look at where the word comes from. What is the origin of the word porter in French? Well, porter comes from the Latin verb portare, which means to carry. Other related words are porta, which is a gate or a door, and portus, a harbor or a port. Now here's something interesting about the Latin verb portare. It spawned many words in English and in French. For example, in English, other related words are deport. Remember, port means to carry, basically. So deport, to carry away. Export, to carry out. Import, to carry in. Report, to carry back. Support, well, the SUP is really the prefix SUB. It's altered here in the word support. And we're talking about literally carrying under, so supporting. The word important is also related. You might think of it as something that carries significance within. Sports, also another related word. The meaning is not so obvious because part of the prefix is missing here. dis, which is away. So sports are something that literally carry you away. It carries your attention away from, let's say, work, for example. So it's leisure, diversion, games. Transport, you carry something across a distance. And in sci-fi, we often talk about teleport, meaning to carry far, literally. Tele, meaning far. Okay, so hopefully all of these related words will help you to remember porter in French, to carry or to wear. Think about it, you're literally carrying your clothes in a sense, so it also means to wear. And now let's quickly review the forms of the verb porter in the present tense. Je porte, tu portes, il, elle, on porte, nous portons, vous portez, il, elle porte. And of course, it goes without saying, remember that each of these forms can have multiple meanings just depending on the context. For example, je porte can mean I wear, I do wear, or I am wearing. Okay, so how are we going to take this to the next level? Well, we're going to do that, number one, by expanding your vocabulary a little bit. So let's practice with some new vocabulary here. Vocabulary of clothing. If you want to say, I wear or I'm wearing a t-shirt. How do you say that in French? Well, a t-shirt is un t-shirt. So, je porte un t-shirt. Je porte un t-shirt. I'm wearing a pair of pants. How do you say that? Or I wear a pair of pants. Je porte un pantalon. Pantalon. Je porte un pantalon. I wear or I'm wearing a sweater. A sweater is un pull. Je porte un pull. Je porte un pull. I wear or I'm wearing a jacket. Je porte une veste. Je porte une veste. I wear or I'm wearing a pair of shorts. Je porte un short. Un short. Je porte un short. I'm wearing or I wear a scarf. Je porte une écharpe. Je porte une écharpe. Did you get all that? So repeat anything that you don't know. The more you repeat, the better. Let's try a different subject pronoun and some different vocabulary. Elle porte, she wears or she is wearing. If you want to say she wears a blouse or she is wearing a blouse, elle porte un chemisier. Elle porte un chemisier. She wears or she is wearing a skirt. Elle porte une jupe. Elle porte une jupe. She wears or she is wearing a dress. Elle porte une robe. Elle porte une robe. She wears or she is wearing a hat. Elle porte un chapeau. She wears or she is wearing a pair of shorts. Elle porte un short. She wears or she is wearing a sweater. Elle porte un pull. Okay, let's change the subject, il porte, and add some different vocabulary here. So how do you say a shirt? Une chemise. Une chemise. So he's wearing a shirt. Il porte une chemise. Il porte une chemise. A jacket. Une veste. He's wearing a jacket. Il porte une veste. Il porte une veste. A coat. Un manteau. Un manteau. He wears or he is wearing a coat. Il porte un manteau. A sweatshirt. Un sweat. Note that for the word un sweat, some native speakers will pronounce it suite. So you'll hear either sweat or suite. Un sweat, un suite. He's wearing a sweatshirt. Il porte un sweat. Il porte un sweat. A sweater. Un pull. Il porte un pull. He's wearing a sweater. Il porte un pull. And finally, a tie. Une cravate. He's wearing a tie. Il porte une cravate. Okay, so remember also that porter can mean to carry. So we can carry things like books, bottles, bags, the suitcase, or a box, the box. Okay, so let's practice a little bit with this other vocabulary. If I want to say, I carry the books, or I am carrying the books, you would say in French, je porte les livres. Je porte les livres. I carry or I am carrying the bottles. Je porte les bouteilles. Je porte les bouteilles. I carry or I'm carrying the bags. Je porte les sacs. Je porte les sacs. I carry or I'm carrying the suitcase. Je porte la valise. Je porte la valise. I carry or I'm carrying the box. Je porte la boîte. Je porte la boîte. Okay, so we've practiced using porter to mean to wear. We've practiced using porter to mean to carry. You've learned some new vocabulary. For this section of the video, you might go back to the first part and play the video without watching. Just listen and see if you can guess the French before I tell you the French. That's just a nice little technique that you can use to really focus on your listening and thinking skills. So if that helps you, you might try that. And as we end the lesson here, I just want to give you a general language learning tip. I am thrilled that you're watching my videos. Honestly, thank you. I appreciate it very much, and I hope you find them very helpful. If you're really serious about learning, however, I suggest that you try as many different programs, courses, and learning techniques as possible. I've had many students over the years, and every student is unique. we all learn in different ways. So my suggestion is just find the combination that works for you of all these different techniques, programs, courses, and really focus on those things that are helping you personally. The other thing to keep in mind is that no matter what program, app, technique you use, there is no substitute for practice and repetition. The only way to build skill is through practice. So keep practicing as much as possible. I design my lessons to always give you some type of practice. Okay, well, that's it. That's my 2 cents worth as far as language learning goes for the moment. So there you have it, the verb porter, to wear, to carry, to take, to bring, to support, just depending on context. Thanks so much for watching. If you found it helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you'd give it a like, share with someone else who's learning French, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much to all my subscribers. I appreciate your support. To go to another lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.